Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. In the dead of night, as April 21st slipped into April 22nd, something chilling unfolded in the heart of Ukraine. Odessa, the historic Black Sea port, was plunged into chaos. The city's military officials announced what they described as an unprecedented drone assault by Russian forces. The damage? Severe. 3 civilians wounded, residential buildings scarred, vehicles reduced to twisted steel, even a local educational institution was struck. The streets were littered with debris. Emergency services raced against time to clear the ruins. But what makes this attack truly shocking is not just its magnitude, it's the fact that it happened in Odessa at all. You see, for those of us who have followed the war in Ukraine not casually but obsessively, day by day, development by development, this assault represents a dramatic shift. From the very beginning of this brutal conflict, Vladimir Putin appeared to steer clear of 2 major Ukrainian cities, Kyiv and Odessa. And why? Because in the minds of Russian nationalists like Putin, these are not just cities, they are relics. Living artifacts of Tsarist Russia. To bomb them into rubble would be to erase the soul of an empire that Putin and his ideological allies have spent years trying to resurrect. Kyiv, the spiritual heart. Odessa, the imperial port. Putin does not see these places as Ukrainian. He sees them as the rightful inheritance of St. Petersburg, of the Romanovs, of a Russia that once reached across Eurasia with unquestioned authority. Let's rewind a bit. Odessa wasn't always called by its current name. In fact, its roots stretch back over 700 years. Once known as Hasibe in the Tatar language, the site was home to an important port. Its name derived from the Arabic word Hatsi, meaning pilgrim. But in the late 18th century, everything changed. In the 1790s, the Russian Empire under Catherine the Great seized the region. With a flick of imperial arrogance, Catherine renamed the settlement Odessa and began transforming it into a gleaming gem of the Black Sea, modeled after European ports like Marseille and Genoa. Throughout the 19th century, Odessa flourished as a cultural and commercial hub under Tsarist rule. This is why, from the outset of this war, many analysts believed Odessa would be spared. The destruction of this city would not just be a military act, it would be a symbolic suicide. It would be like Russia bombing St. Petersburg itself. And yet, here we are. This most recent attack has shattered any illusion that Odessa is off limits. Russia has drawn a red circle around Odessa, and the message is clear. They intend to take it. This is not speculation. This is not conjecture. This is the culmination of a strategy that dates back not to 2022, but to 2014. Because let's remember, Crimea, today viewed as the crown jewel of Russia's territorial gains, was annexed long ago. And contrary to what certain Western politicians like Donald Trump may believe, Crimea is no longer on the negotiation table. Trump may speak of giving Crimea away as though it were a family heirloom ready to be gifted. But for Putin, Crimea was already won years ago. The real prize? Odessa, because if Odessa falls, Ukraine will effectively be landlocked. Cut off from the Black Sea, its economic arteries severed, its access to trade shattered. It would become a paralyzed state. Crimea gone. Odessa gone. The dream of a free, independent, and maritime Ukraine erased. This is why analysts now believe that Putin will not end this war, no matter what kind of ceasefire or agreement is proposed, until Odessa is under Russian control. Whether it takes 3 years or 10, the Kremlin has one red line: Odessa must fall. And the recent drone attacks are just the beginning. But there's another dimension to this battle, one far more insidious than bombs or drones. It's the battle for Odessa's soul. You see, Odessa is not just militarily significant, it is ideologically complicated. Beneath its picturesque architecture and sunlit beaches lies a deeply divided population. According to locals and insiders, the city is teeming with Russian sympathizers, and a large neutral bloc simply exhausted by war. There's a segment of the population that whispers, some local, if peace means surrendering, then so be it. We just want this nightmare to end. And this quiet desperation is something Russia exploits ruthlessly. One Ukrainian friend, deeply familiar with Odessa, once told me something disturbing, that during last summer, while cities like Bakhmut were being leveled, Odessa's tourist beaches were alive with music, parties raged on the shoreline, laughter echoed through cafes. If you had filmed it, you would never guess the country was at war. How does a soldier muster the will to fight? when the people back home are sipping cocktails by the sea. But let's dig deeper. One of Odessa's well-known local figures, Vladislav Belinsky, has warned for years about creeping Russian influence. He claims Ukraine made a critical error in 2014 by failing to prosecute prominent pro-Russian figures. One such man, Ihor Markov, a former Ukrainian MP, fled to Moldova, where he continues to engage in anti-Ukrainian activities with impunity. And within Odessa itself, Russia's covert intelligence operations are not speculation. They're widely acknowledged. Everyone knows that the assassination of Ukrainian nationalist Demyan Hanin, a staunch anti-Russian activist, was orchestrated by Russian special services. His death sent shockwaves through the city, but instead of uniting the people, it only exposed the rot within. Because here's the twist. While Ukrainian authorities fight to preserve Odessa's national identity, the local government, under Mayor Hennady Trukhanov, is accused of dragging its feet. For example, efforts to erect a statue honoring Lesia Ukrainka, one of Ukraine's greatest poets, have been stonewalled for 7 years. Meanwhile, Pushkin's statue, an iconic symbol of Russian culture, still stands tall in the city center. Symbolism matters, and the symbols of Odessa still whisper in Russian. Trukhanov, despite being accused of holding Russian citizenship, publicly denies it. He attends veterans events, salutes the Ukrainian army, and boasts about allocating nearly 20% of Odessa's local budget to support the armed forces of Ukraine. But beneath the surface, pro-Russian policies continue, and now the city finds itself in the eye of the storm. So what does this all mean? It means that Putin is not attacking Odessa from the outside, he is infiltrating it from within. The drones may rain from above, but the real invasion is ideological, psychological, cultural. Odessa is being primed, not just for conquest, but for absorption. And there's one brutal truth shared by analysts in both Moscow and Kiev. Russia will not stop. Not until it controls the Crimean-Odessa corridor. They may sign ceasefires, they may shake hands in neutral cities, they may declare peace on paper, but none of it will mean a thing unless Odessa is under the Russian flag. This is the final chapter Putin wants to write, the keystone of his empire, the last domino in the Black Sea. And so, the world watches, as Odessa teeters on the edge, as history, identity, and geopolitics converge in one ancient city, not just a battlefield, but a prize. A symbol, a destiny. The storm is coming, and it's wearing the mask of empire. Before we close, if this story moved you, if you believe the truth behind global power struggles needs to be heard, then help us bring it to more eyes and ears. Like this video to push the message through the algorithmic fog. Subscribe to the channel if you want more unfiltered deep-dive geopolitical narratives they won't show you on the evening news. And hit the bell icon because in a world spinning with propaganda, timing is everything. Together, let's keep the light on where shadows grow darkest.